interesting novels, poems, and drama. Hi, welcome to Analysia. Today we are doing an analysis of the classic masterpiece To Kill a Mockingbird, written by Harper Lee. If you're already familiar with the storyline and the literary analysis is what you're more interested in, you could use the timeline below to skip ahead to chapter 4, where we discuss all literary terms and figures of speech that are used in the book. The events that take place in the book happened between 1933 and 1935 in the fictional town of Macomb, Alabama, and they portray the themes of racial discrimination and social injustice, all of which were prevalent in the southern part of America during the period. The story is narrated through the eyes of a 6-year-old girl named Scout Finch. Scout lives in the same house with her father, Atticus, who is a lawyer, and her brother, Jem. Because her mother is dead, they therefore have a housekeeper who goes by the name Carponia. Carponia plays the role of a mother and also helps bring love and discipline into the household. As the story progresses, various occurrences and scenarios begin to play out in a way that provides Scouts with the opportunity to learn 4 major lifetime lessons. The first lesson she learns is to not harbor undue impressions or cast mindless judgments on other people, considering that the only way to understand the true nature of someone is by putting yourself in their shoes. This realization was quite difficult for Scouts to accept at first. But one specific encounter she has with our neighbors across the street at the Radley house helps her to have a better understanding of what the lesson is about. The Radley house is seen as some sort of a mysterious and haunted house in the eyes of Scout, her brother, and their friend Dale. The reason why the kids always feel so scared and suspicious around the house is because 1, the family that lives there does so very privately and quiet, having no social interactions with the rest of the neighborhood, and 2, because the family's son, Arthur Radley, is a middle-aged man who has been confined within the house premises and has not stepped out of it for so many years. His identity is clouded in such secrecy that all the children in the town refer to him as Bull Bradley, which expresses what they think of him as a dangerous and a ugly man and their impression of him as a ghost. Interestingly though, Arthur is actually a really good man, just that his wild and carefree nature resulted in him breaking a few laws when he was a teenager, and it was since then that he had become confined to the house indefinitely by his father as a punishment for what he did. The kids actually get to find out just how nice and gentle Bo Radley is when during their usual games they found themselves playing around the Radley house, running past it and daring each other to touch it. After a few days, they started finding sweets and gum presents being kept for them in the bowl of a tree at the back of the house. Someone was leaving the gifts for them, and they found out eventually that the person that was leaving the gifts for them is Bo Radley. Being so happy and excited, the kids arranged for how they can get Bo Radley to come out of the house so they can see him. On a night when they managed to sneak into the house with the hope of catching a glimpse of him through the window, his brother, Nathan, fired gunshots at them, thinking they were armed intruders. Fortunately, the kids managed to escape unharmed, although while they were running, James' pants get stuck on the fence. Bo Radley recovered the pants, fixed it, and left it out for her to find it. On another night, while Scout and Jem were standing out in the cold, watching on at their neighbor's house that had caught fire, Scout noticed that someone had put a blanket around her to protect her from the cold. When she turned around and found out that it was Bo Radley that had put the blanket around her, she freaked out, and it was during this moment she learned that all the bad thoughts they've had about Arthur as Bo Radley were actually unfounded and unnecessary. And afterwards, they started seeing him for the gentleman that he actually is. The second lesson that Scout learns, as presented in the book, is that the justice system is not always fair, and social vices such as racism and discrimination can sometimes hinder the service of true justice. This lesson manifested through the trial of Tom Robinson, which constitutes the second part of the book. Tom is a black man who has been arrested on the charges of raping Mayela Ewell, a white woman. Scout's father, Atticus, has been appointed as the defense attorney for Tom. Even though Atticus knew from the start that there was no way his client would prevail as innocent from the trial, he is nonetheless determined to do the best that he can for Tom. Everybody in the town is racist to one degree or the other, and Scout and Jem had already become the targets of some chatter and gossips by other kids in the town about why their father is defending a black man for a crime like that. This became even more heightened when a group of men comes to lynch Tom on the evening he was being moved and Atticus blocks their way. Scout and Jem sit in the courthouse and watch on as the trial progresses with all the other people in the town. Tom is brought to the stand, where he tells the true and convincing story of how Mayela tried to seduce him, and how Bob Ewell, her father, caught her and beat her up, and after which Mayela and Bob both connived to frame Tom and accused him of rape. Atticus provides a very strong defense for Tom, but despite his best efforts and all evidence pointing to Tom being innocent of the rape charge, still, the jury goes ahead to convict Tom, making the trial to be a point-blank case of a denial of justice. This is the moment when the kids became aware of the evil side of the whole community and the fact that even the justice system is tainted by unfairness. After the whole trial had been settled and done, Mayela's father, Bob, still harbors some grudges against Atticus for defending Tom Robinson as fiercely as he did, and for almost revealing their conspiracy against Tom in front of the whole town. He concluded that despite the ruling being against Tom, he still wanted to take revenge on Atticus. So on the night of Halloween, when Scout and Jem were coming back home from a show, Bob attacks them with a switchblade, attempting to kill them. He twisted Jem's hand and broke it. Now, good old Bo Radley, upon hearing the kids crying, came out of his house to rescue them. He kills Bob Ewell in the process with a kitchen knife, and the kids didn't even realize the involvement of Arthur Radley because it was too dark and they weren't even able to see anything. And so, while Atticus had always known that the odds are significantly against his client, considering that the jury is a white jury and Tom is a black man that has been accused of raping a white woman, he had hoped that his strong defense during the trial would show his children the importance of due diligence, which takes us to the third lesson that Scout learned, which is that true bravery is when you keep fighting and persevering even when you know you can't win. The police, sheriff, and Atticus sat down to discuss what to do about Bob Ewell's death. Atticus suggested they announce that Jem killed Bob in self-defense, hoping to defend his son and helping to prevent any rumors that they had covered it up. The sheriff disagreed, saying there is no way Jem could have done it. He instead suggested they should opt for the story that Bob tripped off on the roof of a tree and fell on his own knife. The sheriff is insisting on this story because he knows Arthur must have killed Bob, and he is aware that if the truth is allowed to come out, the spotlight will be on Arthur, and the public exposure from that is going to hurt a recluse like Arthur. So he wants to protect him and his privacy as a reward for finally serving justice to Bob, something that even the justice system failed to do initially with the rape case. Atticus is confused about the sheriff's position on what to do. One, because he feels they have just lived through the miscarriage of one justice, and so having to experience another might be one too many for them. In a climatic turn of events, Scout tells Atticus that she understands that turning the attention of the whole town on Bo Radley would be like killing a mockingbird. This is Scout's realization of the fourth lesson that she learns in the book, which is that you don't kill mockingbirds, because all they do is fly around and hum beautiful songs without causing any harm to anybody. This also helps Carr to better understand the message that Atticus was trying to pass across earlier in the book when he gave her and her brother air rifles, and he said they are allowed to use it to shoot anything except for mockingbirds. A mockingbird therefore has a metaphorical meaning in this sense, and that is anyone who is weak or defenseless. So basically, Arthur Radley is a mockingbird, and to kill a mockingbird in that sense is to take advantage of someone that is weaker than you. If you would like to find out more about the book, check out the complete analysis and explanation through the link in the description. Thank you, and see you on the next one.